When first presented with an idea like Gen Z talks gender, I felt an automatic gravitation to the topics directly related to either men or women or the LGBTQIA+ terms commonly associated with it. However, I was quickly hit by a realization of sorts. I remembered a commonly used phrase by Generation Z: gender is a social construct. I want to bring to your attention of the very structure of gender identity, very much in relation to each person's expression of their own identity, and the laws and norms that the community is actively fighting against. Let's take a short trip back in time. The creation of language, perhaps? Off the top of your head, can you name any reason as to why language was created? It was created for communication. After basic communication was achieved, we started making more specific terms for things. Dictionaries can sometimes get over 1,000 new words per year. In terms of classifying people, we went from human to male and female, the binary made based on physical or rather sexual differences. In the same period, we assigned roles like hunter and gatherer, also based on the stature of each. Soon enough, these became the baseline for many more such labels to come. We developed into society next, society where the roles of hunter and gatherer were still prevalent, except in a system of heteronomy. An important development to note is our emotional range widening by time. In essence, what we feel. Why we don't feel like a boy or feel like a girl invokes an interesting perspective on what exactly each person would be fighting against. By feeling like a girl or feeling like a boy, we make a reference to what exactly over time was tied to the titles of man and woman. Off the top of your I can name at least 2 reasons as to why this system of homemaker and breadwinner in society worked. Having specific roles for the binary placed made administration, thus public acceptance, easier. Fight in the war, make children and take care of the elderly. Make all the decisions look pretty and follow. It made sense. And simultaneously, we can keep going back and forth as to how those exact roles would make one not feel like either of them. I think we can all agree that things like how you speak, how much you speak, how you dress, how you act, or how your overall picture painting is all just personality. Each person has a personality of their own, of course, but we segregated these many characteristics to 2 words, man and woman, something we can call a brainwashed mindset. When you think about it, everything we've created till now, like the systems in our society, were made in order to make sense of our existence. Just like that, we created gender to make sense of ourselves. We limited each other to a blue and pink bubble of our own. With all of this, we forget the criteria by which we first distinguish between men and women. Physical differences. Now, however, what gender was called then now is called sex, and what gender is now is basic personality to each person. After a while, we realized that we don't fit in the binary, and that everybody has their own personality, a minor drawback. So we made a few more terms as to label exactly what we are. We made expressions and segregated certain aspects of each gender to them. We went from human to man and woman, to now gender fluid, non-binary, which has attributes of neither man nor woman or both, agender as not identifying with either gender, bigender as somebody who fluctuates between the 2. Just some in a list that can possibly never end. In my own coming out process, once I came out as non-binary, which was the only other one I knew then, my friend then asked me if I was that or these 30 other terms that I didn't know of. It's safe to say that what I'd been sure of once, I wasn't anymore. What I did know, though, was that no matter what pronouns I picked or what name I reassigned myself to or what label I plastered to my head and social media account, at the end of the day, nothing about me changed. I'm the exact same person. Nothing changed. Demi Lovato recently came out as non-binary with a pronoun change. Was it a publicity stunt? Did she actually identify as it? We don't know. What we do know is it made her special all of a sudden. That's what throws me off. People are afraid of invisible things because we can't see them. That's why we give it a color, called a name, to make it visible as a first step. But in return, the word becomes stronger now that it has a name. And soon enough, the word becomes too strong and fast for us to catch and comprehend, just like the other several words. And now we're just swatting flies, unable to catch any of them. The fact stands strong that since, of course, we're getting out of these bubbles, which is a good thing, we may be releasing ourselves from these in a way with much more casualties. Casualties like the dilemma of how many more terms can we bring about to define ourselves? 7.9 billion people on the planet, and we may be slowly reaching that amount of labels as every day each new gender identity forms. Casualties like taking the approach to not be shunned by the still re-educated society with a mindset of revenge, oppression to basically nothing, casualties like the use of pronouns. Let's take a look at the definition of a pronoun. A pronoun is a word that substitutes for a noun or a noun phrase. The pronouns used for speaking about another person or a group of people can be he, she, and they. For now, let's use our veto power and remove the entities of he and she, as we can say that the segregation isn't as much necessary as potentially fatal and friendship ending when referring to people. Because seeing as it's based on appearance-wise judgment, it would be wrong to assume that somebody goes by any of those. If we were to go by they for everybody as a singular person, would it be offensive? A certain concept of pronouns came to light recently, which were neopronouns. Just as people have now set a specific pronoun set to go by entitling he, him, she, her, he, they, them, and she, they made an entire other level of pronouns to refer to themselves by, like er or they, them, etc. Even noun pronouns like nya/nyan, and emoji pronouns to be used physically and over chat like skull/skulls. Now, does that not have a status equal to, if not more than, the status of a name to each person? Do we really have to remember a person's pronouns before their name? Are we really more offended by somebody referring to us with the wrong pronouns instead of the wrong name? Yes, we are. A few conclusions we can say we've come to are, we taught ourselves to believe that men and women are categories. Gender is your literal personality. And we've made pronouns an obligation with higher status than that of a name, to be used for a singular person too, thus defying the purpose of pronouns. Is being proud on the basis of revenge against nothing being our demise? Are we so self-assured about our gender identity that we're actually just self-entitled and making rules for everybody to follow? Are we main characters to have everybody remember every detail about ourselves? Did we get out of a bubble so large just to be engrossed in a little bubble of our own? You are not special. Nobody is. That's why everybody's special. But one ordinary person among 7.9 billion special people makes that one person special. Figuring out what your gender identity is figuring out what you like and what you don't. But that's no reason to cross the boundary of being confident and being a level of narcissistic. Thank you.